She's really good.
All right. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to open the Mashpee Conservation Commission for Thursday, June 12th, 2025. We're meeting in the Wacoy Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North. We're broadcast live on local cable channels 8 and 1072, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, and it's a hybrid remote meeting. Okay, the first thing we do is I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we'll have a quick moment of silence. Great, thank you. All right. Next item is public comment for any issues not related to agenda items. Is anybody in the audience want to have any public comment? Okay. Seeing none, move on. We'll come back to the pre and post hearing agenda. We'll jump right into the hearings. First hearing, be notice of intent hearing for 389 Mashpee Road, Lynn and Stephen Scalo. Proposed raise and replace of existing single-family dwelling, construction and maintenance of new single-family dwelling, associated appurtenances, attached porch, patio, plunge pool, garage, and IA septic system. Representative is JC Engineering. Do we have a DEP number on this?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't put them on the agendas. We do. Let me pull it right up. It is 433345.
3345, okay. DEP number 433345. Okay, and Rich Sell is recusing himself. So we have 4 members, Sandy, Shauna, myself, and Marjorie. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Brad Bertol with JC Engineering on behalf of the property owners. This project is located at 389 Mashpee Road. Currently, it's developed with a single-family house, gravel driveway, a detached garage, and a shed. The remaining areas around the property are relatively grassed, pretty much right up to the salt marsh line. There is a small section of wooded area towards the front of the property. I'll get into that a little later. The applicants would like to tear down and rebuild the single-family dwelling on the property. The septic system will be replaced and installed as shown on the plan. It's highlighted in blue and includes the installation of a microfast treatment system for nitrogen reduction. The current house is situated right about 77 feet from the edge of the salt marsh, and the proposed house and appurtenances are not proposed to go any closer. We actually are about 79.6 feet to some steps that come off a rear patio. The salt marsh was delineated by Oxbow Associates. The site itself is also within land subject to coastal storm flowage, a variety of different areas. VE 13 out by the salt marsh, AE 13 between the salt marsh and the existing house, and then the rest of the property is within AE elevation 11. The majority of the property is elevation 7 and 8, where the proposed development is taking place. The new house will be situated, actually pulled back away from the salt marsh and constructed for the majority within the grassed area that's on the street side of the existing footprint. The house will also include an attached garage and there'll be a small gravel driveway expansion to connect the garage to the existing gravel driveway. The driveway is planned to remain pervious, whether it's gravel, crushed stone, or shell. The property owner did discuss possibly running an edge of cobbles to define the limit of the driveway. So there should not be any real impact to surface water runoff from the existing driveway. The area between the existing house and the salt marsh, for the most part, is all cleared of any native vegetation. There's a small section of brush along the north property line, which you can see in the picture with the cursor. It's kind of facing, I believe that's facing from south to north. The pier, the end of the pier is on the left side of that picture. So as part of this project, we are not proposing any work within the 75 feet buffer zone to the salt marsh, besides removing a couple concrete pads that are just north of the pier and proposing mitigation within that area to reestablish some native habitat. The amount of proposed mitigation has been calculated based off of the amount of proposed work or new work within the 75-foot and 150-foot buffer zone. We do show a table on the property, on the plan, and we are required to have 3,670 square feet of mitigation, and the mitigation area accounts for 3,685 square feet. So we're meeting the requirements on that. That mitigation is, for the most part, within kind of grassy area. Our erosion control line, a limit of work, is situated between, actually have two erosion control lines. The first one would be along the salt marsh, so we could protect the salt marsh when the mitigation is being proposed. And the second line would be to protect the land within, the rest of the land within the 75-foot from construction activities. To account for surface water runoff from the roof, we are proposing dry wells around the property, and we have connected those roof dry wells to the anticipated gutter locations so that the surface water runoff can infiltrate from, I believe it was a 10-year storm that we had calced it for. So that would help with surface water runoff. Currently, there are no stormwater controls for runoff from the existing structures. The site is relatively level and will remain relatively level. There'll be some minor grade changes in the front and the back, but this house is within the AE flood zone, so the structure itself will be constructed on a crawl space, and the slab of that crawl space won't be below lowest grade, so that the flood waters will be able to move freely through the flood vents that will be provided around the perimeter of the structure, just to meet building code requirements. Since the submittal of this document, or this application, the applicant did discuss on-site with a member of staff about some cleaning up of some material on the property, and it was discussed that a mitigation or replanting plan is provided. Now, the property owner assumed that it was going to be taken care of through this process, and due to work being taken place without any type of administrative approval, we're going to have to address that. So we fully understand that we're going to need a continuance at the completion of our discussion so that we can address that items. It was unbeknownst to me that work had taken place until I was on the property doing a perk test, and I he had mentioned that he had spoken to Dan, and he was fully in agreement with what needed to be done. He just didn't know that he needed the plan before he could move forward with the work. The work involved removing, clean up the brush in the front of the property, and which would be a good little more than 50% of the existing brush area that I was to leave as brush as part of this proposal. There is some work within that original brush area. I had to label that on the plan. We have native vegetation outside 75 and up to the 150. Is that? This is beyond it, so beyond the 150. But we did do a native vegetation calculation between existing and proposed. So to be in conformance with the regulations regarding work within land subject to coastal storm flowage, there should be about 30% minimum of natural vegetative area. Currently, as it is, there was 28.5%. So we are proposing to increase that to 33%, and majority of that is addressed with the mitigation area closest to the salt marsh. So we're in conformance with that. Unfortunately, we will need to address the areas that were altered up closer to the street, and fully aware of that. And we also received some comments from staff. There are some recommendations to modify a few of the plant species that this area would be more appropriately sited with, and we have no issue with swapping out a variety of species. We did propose 8 new trees between a couple different species and a variety of shrubs and grasses over that 3,685 square foot area. So pending any other requests by this commission, we anticipate to address the mitigation in the front of the property and any other comments that you may have tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, go to staff. Any questions?
How many bedrooms are in the existing house?
I believe it's a 2-bedroom house.
So you're going from 2 to 4 bedrooms?
We are doing a 4-bedroom house. The septic system is sized 4 or 5, but the house itself is 4.
There was a manhole cover out there on the lot by the, there was a post with it looked like some juncture boxes on it, and
Yep.
there was what is that?
So I believe that you're in the vicinity of the shed, street side of the shed. So the septic system is on the water side of the shed, and the structure, the septic system component on the street side is a pump. So I believe that's the controls for the pump and the access to the pump. The leaching facility is down that cleared path that's on the left-hand side of the property.
Do you have a sense of, if you take, and my math's probably not quick enough, all the existing structures right now, and then compare them to the proposed new building, how close are we to square footage? Just
Yeah, so
footprint.
I had included that on the plan on the lot coverage table. We have 1,747 square feet of roofed area between house, shed, garage, and I believe that's like an enclosed screened porch or that's attached to the house. And the proposed structure is 3,160 square feet. So that's like 1,500.
Thank you.
Sandy?
I read that the garage will be on a slab. Is the house, you said, is going to have a crawl space or a slab?
It's a crawl space. Basically, it's a slab on grade, and the first floor habitable space will be situated, built up to, I believe I called it elevation, top foundation 12, first floor at 13. So that lower enclosure area, which will be between the slab and the top foundation's 4.5 feet. It will be a crawl space just so the house is set up on grade
And with flood vents?
with flood vents,
And will
as
it have
opposed to filling it all in and
Right.
creating a house on a slab.
Right.
Then you wouldn't get the benefit of allowing the water to free flow through underneath the structure
Okay.
with the flood vents.
Will there be any drains in that slab?
I don't believe they're required. I've never seen that as a requirement in the building code. I know that the area needs to allow waters to pass.
Right.
And those flood vents have to be set low so that there's no more than a certain amount of water acting on the foundation wall itself.
Okay. How many trees are going to be removed? That was sort of unclear to me.
Yes, so I didn't calculate how many. I think there's probably at least a dozen throughout, in the vicinity of the house and along the property line, or not property line, but along the facade of the house closest to the south property line, because the structure is being constructed up to roughly the kind of the edge of the tree line that's there today.
Yeah, it looks
But
like
those
a bunch
are
of
all-
trees
everything's
in the middle
great.
there.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And over there too, in the middle there.
Yeah.
And then in the front of the property, there's obviously a number of shrubs, but there's only a couple couple trees right in the center footprint of the house. And I believe one kind of on the back patio area, one or two near the patio area. But all those are outside the 75-foot
Okay.
setback.
And in this patio that's going in, is there going to be a wall around that patio, or
Excuse me?
the patio that's being proposed, is there going to be a wall around that?
It's a slope around it, not like a fixed wall around this patio here. The patio itself, it'll be, I have a detail utilizing impervious pavers, so it's
Right.
constructed on crushed stone. And again, minus the small little plunge pool, which I believe is pretty small, I believe it's like 7 by 13. 7 foot by 13 foot. Will obviously be impervious, but the rest of the area will be pervious.
And no fence around the plunge pool?
I don't know the exact code on that. There may have to be some type of, under the building code. It's, according to the client, it sticks up about 18 inches, and then it's like 4 feet deep, or 4 feet below grade, so it's
That
5
might-
feet tall.
We
It might
need
have
to know
a
that.
cover.
It might be nice to know if it needs a fence.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yep.
Okay, Marjorie, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. I'm good. That was where I was going, and I'm fine.
Okay. So I have a few questions. Starting off with the number of trees cut, you say at least a dozen, right?
Yeah, at least a dozen around the footprint of the
Okay.
house.
So can you add a bunch of evergreens on the south and north property lines for buffer and for replacement of those trees?
We did, we can do that. We actually were just recently requested to stake out a boundary line to the south, and come to find out the neighbor's yard is up really close to the wood line. So we will definitely, we can add a number of trees along the southern boundary they want to add some buffering anyways.
Okay,
So
something at least that's, evergreen, that's,
Yeah.
6 foot,
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah, we have no problem with that. I actually spoke to the property owner today because we had just requested the stakeout. They had requested us to stake that boundary line out, just so that everyone knows where that line is before anyone does any work,
Okay.
either side, so.
All right, thank you. I didn't see any soil logs for your perk test on the plan or in the paperwork.
Yeah, we can't, those perk took place on May 22nd. We had old septic plans. Actually, the septic system was actually relatively new. 2002 was the current septic, so not too old. So we had groundwater elevation established at that time, and then we knew what the anticipated septic system design would be. But we can add that perk data to the plan.
And the septic system design to the plan?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, great, thank you. I notice on the plans that there's a coastal A zone that runs through this property. And is the coastal, I see, you have a velocity zone, and you have AE 13, and looking at the photograph of the plan, the Fermet
Yep.
plan provided, where does the coastal A cut through this property?
It appears to follow the A13, A11 line. I looked at that just recently because the coastal A zone now got some new building code requirements to it for the
Right.
next building code.
Right.
And we'll make sure that we're not within that. It seems to follow the zone, the line between the A13 and A11 line.
And so it looks like it's touching the edge of the pool area.
Edge of the patio there,
The
yeah.
patio and pool area. Okay.
Pool patio area.
Since we don't have house plans, are the flood vents on the north and south sides where you have, it says 7 by 5? Is that where the flood vents are going?
There'd be along the south side, the north side where the 7.5, and along the water side of the structure. Because the top of foundation's at 12, so there's low enough grade around the 3 sides to put flood vents.
So-
Theoretically, there's probably room in the front as well.
Okay, so I don't know how that's going to work if you have existing grades at 5 and 6, and then you're bringing in fill on the rear and up by the garage, which is, 6, 7, 8, and 10. So can you provide the house plan and show where all the flood vents are?
Yeah, okay.
And then, just for reference, because I know the building commissioner's going to ask you for that. And are you aware that the building codes changed on July 1st to the 10th edition?
Yes, yep.
Okay, so if it says in a A zone, need to be 2 feet above the flood elevation, top clearance.
Yes, so we're at A11, so first floor is at 13. So that we meet that requirement.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
we
could-
were
it could-
aware of that, yeah.
Yeah, it could be that the framing has to be out of it, it could be the top of the foundation.
Yeah, I believe it's the first floor, although any framing below that would have to be pressure treated.
Right.
So.
Okay. Let's see. Land clearing, and then you're going to address all the existing land clearing that has taken place in the front of the
Yeah,
property.
that was news to me that this actually today, I realized that that's something that we have to do as part of this process. We have no problem doing it, and that's the reason why I fully expect a continuance to address that.
Okay. I think those are the only questions I have. All right, anything else? No? Okay. Dan, Drew, you guys have anything?
Not too much more to add. Dan can elaborate on the, you know, the area that was altered without authorization over by the street side of the property. I would just recommend that the commission, you know, once all comments have concluded, just provide a clear list of what they, you know, reiterate what you're looking to see, because I think this is going to need to be continued just to allow time for that planting plan to be submitted for the clearing that took place along the road side of the property. And I wrote down in my comments what I would recommend as far as swapping out of plantings that were that I feel would be more conducive to this particular area. Not that there's anything wrong with what was, you know, originally presented. It's just we're seeing more frequently flooded conditions on Mashpee Island, and I think that having species that are accustomed to repeated flooding conditions would be more adequate for this particular location. And it is a larger size home, so I don't know if the commission, I didn't hear anything from the comments about any concerns with that, but if there are concerns with that, I would just recommend that you make that known at this hearing in order for them to prepare for the continuance. One of the comments that I made is that understanding it is a larger size home in the flood zone. However, when you have a property like this that has such extensive altered conditions, mostly lawn, and particularly lawn in that first 75 feet of buffer zone setback from salt marsh, it's a direct transition from marsh to lawn, and having a buffer zone established there as a waiver, a way to satisfy the waiver criteria, I think is a good trade-off for a larger footprint home, because it does increase the flood zone resiliency in the area that matters most on a lot like this, where you have existing lawn, which offers no protection from floodwaters. So for the commission's consideration, you know, I do view that as a qualifying waiver for the waiver criteria. And no other comments, I'll pass it off to Dan.
So Drew, just to follow up, you're saying, so just to add more mitigation between what's being proposed and the back of the house? Is that what you're saying, for more protection?
Well, yes, I think, yeah, it would make more sense as far as like the, you know, what needs to be done to mitigate for the unauthorized clearing on the street side. I think it would make more sense if some of that mitigation, maybe not all of it, but whatever it calculates out to be, that some of that be added to that first 75-foot setback to make that buffer zone, as currently proposed, even more robust. Because it makes the most sense to have that area of buffer zone be, you know, the higher protection that's warranted in that area from floodwater. So it makes more sense to have that area more robustly vegetated than on the street side of the home. So that's what I would suggest, is that whatever the mitigation calculates out to be for the unauthorized clearing, a portion of that should be added to the mitigation area between the proposed home and the salt marsh.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they covered most of it. I think that all the cutting that was done, it can be rectified here in the plan, quite frankly. I don't think there's any on-sites or further to have to go on for that.
Yeah.
We can just rectify it in the plan. As Drew said, if you could bring whatever that calculates into, try to fill up the spots in between the limit of work and the current mitigation area in the plan.
Yeah, we could-
Bring it as close, you know, I would love to see it to the limit of work. Bring it as close as you can, essentially, and then whatever's left, I would say, put it in the back area, as well as other plantings that the commission mentioned earlier.
We're already, before Steve had mentioned buffering along the property line, that was something that we were going to add on the next plan, but that definitely will increase the amount of, will kind of offset the trees that are being cut.
Okay, so,
Steve, I'm sorry, I'm going to just circle back around to the plunge pool. It's a saltwater,
I'm assuming it's the saltwater treated.
and I assume we'll put all the standard conditions of it has to be pumped out and all the things that we talk about
Yes,
with pools.
those are our
Okay,
boreal
okay,
plates
okay.
if the pool
Okay.
becomes approved on this plan. There's boreal plates for has to be taken out by a pump
Yeah,
truck,
well-
can't drain into any wetlands, can't drain the roads anymore in Mashpee, so things like that. So those are boilerplates for any pool.
Yes, yeah, that's fully understandable.
I just have another follow-up question. So on the south side and the west side, where you have the grades, where you're going new grade from 9 down to 6 across, a short distance, how are you handling that with vegetation or?
Well, it was going to be vegetated, probably with some type of seed mixture. If there's something that's the commission would feel more comfortable with, then we could do something in that area. That area now is a grassed area, so I don't think it's not increasing any grass area on the property from just replacing that sloped area.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned that you're going to have a 3-foot slope across a short distance, the erosion, so maybe have some sort of, fescue grass or something along that area, where it's steep here. It's kind of steep on that side. This area will just go down to whatever the planting's going to be there.
But it was going to be some type of, I was anticipating grass to stabilize that slope.
Right, if we can have,
If there's
you know,
something more appropriate the commission wants to see along just that specific area, then I could maybe have some type of, more of a ground cover type of as opposed to grass, but more shrubbery plants along that.
yeah, just to cut down erosion, it's just a, 3 foot across that, I don't know what the
Yeah, it's.
setbacks are on.
Yeah, I think it's
16
like-
feet there, so, and then you have the, it's probably the 3 foot drop over at least 11, 12 feet of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much appropriate to be stabilized with grass, but.
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
just-
yeah, whatever you can
Yeah.
put in there that you think will work and stabilize that. Okay. All right, so, you gonna ask for continuance, you said?
I am,
Yeah.
if,
Okay.
I know the information needs to be in a week in advance, and if there's space on the 26th, that would be appreciated. If you can't work with the commission, or we can't get something in, delivered to the town hall in time, then we could request a continuance on that date to the next one. It's up to the commission.
That's perfectly fine. If you want to go on the 26th, just, it's the Thursday prior, so have everything in. If you don't have it, just send us a continuance request at that point.
All right, perfect. This project requires ZBA, and they only meet once a month.
Yep.
And if we go to July, hearing is the night after the zoning board.
Okay.
So then it would push the zoning board out a whole month, so we're just trying to cut time down, so. I'll try my best to get everything in by next, 1 week from tonight, so.
Okay.
All right, so you're on the,
I just wanted to bring up the plunge pool again. Is that an absolute that they want, that plunge pool? It's awfully close, or might be, coastal A zone.
it's in the coastal A, yeah. It cuts right
Well,
in.
we can look at that and pull it out, or
And then if it
out
requires a
of the
fence.
coastal A zone. That is definitely a new regulation that, was not applicable until the new set of codes. So we could look at possibly, if we have to slide the house or the pool away from the water, to allow him to still have that pool area, but not be within the coastal A zone.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can move the house to the east a bit to stay out of the coastal A, that,
Yeah, southeast, I guess.
yeah,
Try to
well,
keep-
towards the street.
Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right,
right.
so you know what's on the list, or do you want to
Yep.
review it again?
I guess I can state the comments that I've written down so far, minus the mitigation along the south. We're gonna address all the mitigation required for the work by the street. We're gonna try to relocate that mitigation to the rear as much as possible. And it's gonna be an equal amount, so if we'll make sure we have at least the amount of natural vegetated area that's depicted on this plan. We're gonna add all the perk information and septic system design, and provide the architectural plans that show the flood vents.
There was a question
Did
on
you
that.
say, excuse me, quick question. Did you say architectural plans
Yes.
according to what?
I'll add the architectural plans that show the.
You will add them in, so that we get to see the bedrooms and the whole square
Yes.
footage?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I believe that covers,
And then,
We had septic points and soil logs, right?
yeah, that's septic, that's why I said septic system design, yeah.
Okay, yeah, house plans, new trees on the north and south side of the property,
Yep, yep.
mitigation.
and then could you also mark the trees for removal?
All right.
That one, as well as, there was questions about the pool fence, just be, if there's a current code or anything for that. Because there is concerns about having a fence or a vertical wall such, or anything like that
Yeah.
within the flood zone there.
I wonder if those, because it's a smaller pool, they have those covers that kind of slide over it.
Yeah.
I'll
Probably,
check
yeah.
with the client
Okay.
to
So-
see what his,
So more specifics on that, and I think everything else you absolutely got. I have a list here as well, so.
Cool.
okay.
Okay.
I appreciate your comments tonight, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so we'll take a vote here. So a motion to continue 389 Monomoskoye Road to June 26?
Correct, yep.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for continuance to June 26th.
Okay, do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, so moved. Okay, for a vote. Sandy?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes,
Okay, and I vote yes, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get Rich.
Okay, next hearing, 25 Monahanset Road, David and Diane Bazarian. Proposed raise and replace of an existing dwelling, construction and maintenance of new single-family dwelling and existing foundation, associated appurtenances, attached covered porch and attached patio. And do we have a DEP number for that one?
DEP number 433346.
Good evening, Brian Wallace with JC Engineering. So we have a relatively straightforward project that we're proposing here. The owner is looking to tear down the existing single-story dwelling and construct a new two-story dwelling in its place. We are intending to utilize the existing foundation that is there to support the new structure. The new structure and the existing house is situated 64 feet from a coastal bank that was delineated in accordance with the DEP policy 92-1, where there is an AE zone at elevation 10 and a slope that intersects it. And we added a 1-foot offset from that flood zone line to indicate the location of the coastal bank. There's also two bordering vegetated wetlands that are within 150 feet of the structure as well. One is to the west, which is shown on a previously approved conservation plan, which is 121.6 feet from the existing house. And the wetland out back is, I don't have a dimension on there, but it's essentially right at the 150-foot setback as well. So again, we're looking just to build the existing house on the existing, the proposed house on the existing foundation there. The new house will include a new covered porch off the front. So that would be the only real land disturbance that we are anticipating, where there would be sonotube footings to support that porch. Otherwise, the intention is to leave the site as undisturbed as possible, including all of the patios on the rear and on the sides, and the lawn area out back, and the septic in front. The utilities will be disconnected, to the house, the overhead wire during construction, but They intend to use the existing septic system as well, which was installed in 2017. And, all the utilities would be restored to essentially the original condition upon completion of the project. As a precaution, we did propose an erosion control barrier that would run along the rear of the yard, essentially right where that the lawn area ends at the top of the slope. Again, we don't anticipate, any real earth disturbance or alteration, but just as a precaution to prevent any debris or anything that might make its way in that direction would get stopped by the fence there. So that is essentially the project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, questions from commissioners? No?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. Cindy, nothing? Shauna,
No,
nothing?
I'm good.
Okay. Marjorie?
No, I think I'm good too. I went down and I'm familiar with the property, so I'm good.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Has the foundation been reviewed and approved by a structural engineer to put a second story on?
Yeah, so that's been scheduled. It hasn't occurred yet. It's scheduled for July 1st. So it's a poured foundation. From what we've seen, it appears to be in good condition. Of course, we won't know that until the structural report is done, but that is, obviously a risk we're willing to undertake if it isn't up to code, but, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But the intention is to use that foundation. Yep.
Okay. How will the house be removed off the foundation?
I think it's just going to be demoed, probably with an excavator or equipment that would essentially tear it down. So I know space is definitely limited there a bit, but debris would probably be put in a container and taken off-site from there.
Okay, so an excavator is going to chew up the whole yard. You got a septic system in front.
Yeah,
Excavator could damage a foundation.
They're going to have to exercise
Probably
extreme caution.
So you probably have to do it by hand,
Yeah.
not an excavator. Because if you get an excavator in here, everything's within 150-foot buffer.
Yeah.
So then that wouldn't work.
Yeah, the house itself, unassembling the house could be by hand. I think to get the materials in a dumpster might require some heavier equipment, but I don't think exact details have been planned for that aspect of it that I'm at least aware of can share with you. But the owner is certainly trying to preserve as much as they can here. So I expect care to be taken when that occurs.
Okay, yeah, all right. And then, so the covered porch is a new structure, but you're not proposing any mitigation, even though everything's within the 150-foot buffer for a new structure?
Yeah, we didn't propose any mitigation as part of this plan.
No. Yeah, what's the square footage of that covered porch?
That porch is about 245 square feet.
Okay. I don't have the reg in front of me, but wouldn't that require new mitigation?
Yeah, if they're taking up more area, more space like that, lawn or whatnot.
What is,
I would have a question on, the area of the
What is currently?
proposed porch. If you look at the plan, it looks like it's going over what's currently a concrete area. I would ask the applicant, what is the existing area where the proposed front porch is, like, what is the existing condition of that area? If the commission requires mitigation, this is just to rationalize my comments, and I could easily be wrong. If the front porch is going over like a lawn or landscape area, then mitigation should be part of this. If it was like if there was structure there, this is going over existing structure, it's kind of like it's not something that typically triggers mitigation. Because you've got a structure occupied and a footprint that's being replaced by another footprint. But if that's not the case, and I don't know for sure, the mitigation certainly should be required at a 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, Drew, looks like part of it's going over a gravel driveway, part of it's over looks like a few foundation plantings, and part of it's over a masonry step, according to the photograph.
Okay. So yeah, I think it makes sense to require mitigation for that. I just thought from the plan, it looked like it was going over an entire area of existing structure or hardscaping, I guess, but it wasn't quite clear. So I agree that mitigation should be, something that can be conditioned. And also, I think it would also be a good idea, if heavy machinery is to be used, staff, if the commission were to issue an order of conditions with this, that the applicant provide a very detailed methodology when it comes to demolition work, and the understanding that if a foundation does need to be replaced because the existing foundation would not be adequate, that would require an amended order to come back to the commission for that kind of work under that scenario.
Yeah, sounds good, Drew.
There's also a new back stoop too. I don't know what that's over. If it's,
Well, there is it looks
Does it
like
look
it's
concrete?
concrete
Yeah,
there
okay.
right now, looking
Yeah.
at the photograph, right?
Yeah, it's concrete.
Yeah.
That's concrete. It's a-
Right, okay.
It's a raised porch right there.
Okay,
But that's staying.
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be changed, but yeah.
okay. Any other comments from Dan or Drew?
No, just the construction methodology would definitely be a condition, as well as, how big did you say the deck was? 245 square feet?
Yeah, so it's 245 feet new, but there's certainly going to be less when you take out the area of the stoop. There's area of the gravel driveway, and possibly a portion of the walkway that connects the stoop to the driveway within that footprint. So it's certainly less than 245 new net
right.
hardscape there. Yeah.
Whatever that is, it sounds like it's probably going to be a 1-to-1 because it's on such the outer reaches of the buffer zone. So I would recommend putting that on the edge of one of these slopes here.
It's 2-to-1, Dan.
Or 2-to-1, I'm sorry.
The revised mitigation
Yeah, that's
chart
right.
doesn't go less than 2-to-1.
So it would be 2-to-1, that's correct.
It'll be 2-to-1, yes.
To put it on the back slope there as it goes down, there's a couple of sections in the backyard where it just drops, just to beefing that spot up, those spots up. I would recommend that.
Okay, absolutely. Yep.
All right. All set? Okay. Any public comment? I forgot to ask that in the last hearing.
In the public.
I got nothing online.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have a motion with any conditions?
Make a motion to close an issue at 25 Montahasset Road with the conditions of 2-to-1 ratio, mitigation planting, and assume a 3-year monitoring plan. Those mitigation plantings.
I would go with a 2 on this, just
Two?
because
Okay.
it's a smaller amount. Yeah.
And then a detail of construction methodology for the demolition.
And amend an order if the foundation doesn't pass inspection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If the foundation doesn't pass, then we have to come back to the
So amend an order
commission.
for a structural,
Yeah, for structural, if there's any issues there.
an amended
Yeah.
order, okay.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
structural
we would
foundation.
essentially put in a condition worded that if the foundation needs to be replaced, it would require an amendment to this order of conditions.
Okay, sounds good. So we have a motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Do a roll call vote. Rich?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Next hearing is notice of intent for 29 Jeep Place, Hans and Sarah Brings, replacement and upgrade of cesspool to IA septic system and repairs to existing house foundation. DEP number?
Yep, DEP number 433347.
3347. Okay, thank you, Dan. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Smith. I am a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting, and I'm here to present the notice of intent for 29 Jeep Place. So this project is fairly straightforward. Resource areas on this locust site include coastal beach, coastal bank, which was delineated by Goddard. A coastal bank analysis was provided as part of the notice of intent and was delineated in accordance with Mashpee's Conservation Commission definition and requirements. The project includes the replacement of a failing foundation. No increase to the footprint is currently proposed. The applicant is additionally proposing the upgrading of a cesspool system on site to an IA septic system. This Title V system was approved by the Board of Health and will be an improvement to existing conditions on site. Just to reiterate, there is no expansion or of the existing footprint or increase to impervious surface proposed. All access will occur on site over existing lawn and existing driveway. The site will be repaired to similar to existing conditions post-construction, as well as there will be no loss of native vegetation as part of this project. It's fairly straightforward. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
Not here, I'm good.
It's a good project.
Yeah.
Nothing, Sandy? Okay, Rich?
Huh? Straightforward.
Okay, Marjorie?
Pretty straightforward is right. No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, couple of questions I have. I'm not seeing any erosion control on the plan.
So on the sewage disposal system plan, highlighted in red, an 8-inch diameter mulch-filled silt sock is proposed, as well as an orange construction fence near the top of Coastal Bank.
Okay, what about along the street and then the
There is none
property
currently
lines.
proposed at this time.
okay.
It's really flat there.
It is a fairly flat site, yes.
Right, but it's, and there's no dimensions for, you're about 12 and a half feet off the rear property line, so, and then I assume, since we don't have a construction methodology, you're gonna lift the house up in cribbing and then dig underneath and put a new foundation underneath, is that correct?
That's my understanding, correct.
Okay. So when you dig, there's usually soil moving, you're gonna have to go 4 feet outside, so, you know, during heavy rainstorms, if you have a pile of sand along that south property line, it might,
Okay.
you know, move into the neighboring property.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
so
certainly
I would-
add additional.
I would have erosion control around the whole property.
We can certainly add that.
Okay. Do you have a construction methodology for this
We
project?
do not at this time, but we can provide it.
Okay. All right. And then, since it's all grass, Dan, do we need to meet the lawn requirements for under?
Yeah, that'll be boilerplate on this order of conditions, and on most of them now, pretty much all of them. Is Regulation 31 for that. It's pretty specific. One of the main requirements is it has to be less than 10% bluegrass for the seed mix, is one of the main requirements amongst others, but that will be a boilerplate in the order of conditions.
Okay.
Do you, on the deck that's going to be there, how are you going to, you going to rebuild the deck with new footings and new deck?
That is a great question.
Yes.
If you want to,
Yes.
come up to the microphone?
Hi, Hans Brings of 29 Cheap Place. Yes, my plan is to hope to just move the deck and attach it back, but there's a good chance I'll have to replace the exact
The new
same deck, but
footings.
exact same size, no change.
Okay. All right. And then the shrubbery, the hedges, are they going to be salt tolerant? What you're putting back, or you have?
They've been there for
any-
many and many years, so hoping that we can keep them there. My wife loves them.
Okay.
We actually own the house right behind it as well.
All right. Are any foundation plantings proposed?
Hoping to bring back, my landscaper's hoping to take out what's there, bring back and add more landscaping there as well.
Okay. Think we need a landscape plan or anything for there, or nothing? So.
They could do a landscape plan. It would depend. There's not really mitigation being required on this at all.
Right.
So it would just essentially be horticulture beds.
Okay.
At that point, if they wanted to add them. And if they were getting rid of lawn to add that, I know there would be no issue with that.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think there'd be one needed.
All right, just double checking that. Okay. All right. Any other questions from the commission? No? Nobody in the audience? Dan and Drew, any comments?
Just one comment that I have is, and this is for, excuse me, for Goddard. We do have a regulation 30, which is prevention of pollution and nitrogen loading under our chapter 172 bylaw. It does apply to raise replace projects or projects involving single family homes, septic systems, wastewater systems, and it requires calculation of nitrogen loading from all sources on a given site. So that's stormwater runoff, that's lawn, and that's septic. And I do understand perfectly well that a cesspool being replaced with an IA septic system is a dramatic improvement and will no doubt meet the standards under Reg 30. But supplying this calculation is required under our bylaw, and it was not provided. So I have no doubt that the threshold will be met. It's 19 parts per million of nitrogen loading that you cannot exceed. And I'm quite confident this site will be below that threshold, but you have to fill out the calculation sheet and submit that. So the commission can make that a condition if that's acceptable.
Okay.
Good catch.
Okay. Thanks, Drew. Dan,
Sure.
Anything?
Nope, I went out to the site today. I really like that coastal bank. It's very well vegetated. The native grasses are fantastic on it, I have to say. So the foundation work absolutely needs work, and who could say anything about an IA septic, so it's good to go for me.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from commissioners? Okay.
Good.
Do you have a motion?
Make a motion to close an issue at 29 Jeep Place with the conditions of a 8-inch silt sock around the perimeter of the property, construction methodology, and a nitrogen loading calculation.
Okay, and then I think we want to do regulation 31 for the lawn
10%
replacement.
of bluegrass.
Okay. And, okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay. Do a roll call vote. Rich?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes,
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so we'll back to our pre and post hearing agenda.
You need to do Keel Way.
Oh, yeah, Keel Way, yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
We need to do what?
Keel Way, 30
Thank you,
Keel Way.
Oh, kill it.
Yeah.
Okay, and next item, certificate of compliance for 31 Keel Way, Michael J. Maureen J. Tringali, trustees. Request for certificate of compliance for order conditions 433247. So,
No issues.
no issues, everything look good?
Everything looked good. The inspection report came back fine, so good to roll.
Okay.
Good to roll.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept this COC?
Make a motion to accept the COC at 31 Keel Way.
Yeah, second?
Second.
Okay. All right, do a roll call vote. Rich?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes,
And I vote yes. Great. Thank you. I need somebody to keep me in line, Shauna.
That's okay. I'm just coaching.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, now back to the pre and post hearing agenda. First item, approval of minutes from March 6th of this year. Anybody have any questions, changes, comments?
Yeah, I did, if I can find him.
are we all on that?
I wasn't at that meeting.
It doesn't say who was on it. I don't have
Yeah,
that.
usually it says.
No.
I think we are.
That's on
Because I
me.
read them.
I didn't put the names down.
I might have been gone that hearing.
Yeah, we gotta remember to put the names down for
Yes,
the
I do.
attendees, but you can ask, Alyssa may know, who was attending that meeting.
Yeah, I was just pulling it up for you. We have Sandy, Marjorie, and Rich are the only three that are here for
Okay.
voting.
No issues.
So no.
Don't have a,
We don't have a quorum.
don't have a quorum for that.
I couldn't quite hear it, but I think I was on there, yes?
Yeah,
Yeah, you were.
there's 5 on there, but there's only 3 commissioners here, so we don't have a quorum for it.
Okay, so,
Uh,
There were 5 commissioners present at that.
I'm sorry,
meeting.
we do
You
have a quorum.
Three,
Yeah.
you have a quorum.
oh, okay,
Oh,
there you go.
we don't
Yeah, I
You're
wasn't,
right.
It's more than 50% of the attendees, that's a quorum. And if you had 5 attendees, you have 3 present tonight, you meet that quorum.
okay,
Robert's Rules of Order.
That is
nicely
correct.
done.
all right, so we can vote on it,
I
so.
have,
Yeah.
I noticed under the PBA discussion, bullet number 2, I think the word should have been sliver and not silver.
You are a good proofreader.
And the COC for 31 Fiddler Crab Lane has two motions. They're the same motion, but it's just double.
Okay.
That's all.
That's fine.
All right, so Rich, Sandy, and Marjorie can vote. Okay, so do we have a motion to accept the minutes of March 6th?
Make a
So
motion.
moved.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, Rich?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, next item going down the list is water quality. Any issues or anything there?
Nope,
No?
not yet.
Okay, discussion on the promulgation date for Regulation 25.
Thought we were all set with that. It's supposed to be June 26th,
June
right?
26th.
Yeah.
Yep, we just want to make sure we had a quorum that night of commissioners.
I'll be
So
here.
that was the main thing, so.
Okay.
If there's going to be anyone who is absent that night, definitely let me know. I just want to make sure we have a quorum. It sounds like we do so far, but yeah, just please let me know. I want to make sure. I don't want to get to it and not have it, so that was the whole thing with that.
And then those become effective 90 days out?
That is at the discretion of the commission. It can be it can have a grace period, however you would like to dictate that. You know, that can be discussed now or it can be discussed that night. I would recommend discussing it that night with the vote as part of the deliberation.
Do we have any precedent for how
With the
grace
bu-
periods have?
When I was here with the buffer
It's
zone,
been 2 weeks.
Okay.
The commission has typically granted a 2-week grace period to allow, you know, the changes to kind of filter out and be distributed and understood. And, you know, just for my own recommendation for this one, I would extend that longer for this particular regulation just because of the scope of jurisdiction involved. It includes more properties within wetlands jurisdiction than any other wetland resource area, so the commission may want to consider a longer grace period, just considering the scope of jurisdiction.
Yeah,
But you can discuss that, you know, on the 26th.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, next item to set the date for reorg of this commission. And I think we said that was the 26th also, too.
all right, so that definitely is 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everyone, please be here on the 26th. So-
Big meeting.
Better be there, yep.
There be square.
Okay, the discussion for 110 Papaneset Island Road, Attorney Carter, there was a mix-up, so that's scheduled for June 26th now, instead of tonight.
Yeah, that was my fault. When I went back to look at the email correspondence with Attorney Carter, just because I was gonna ask him if he was attending remotely or not tonight, I realized that he had not selected June 12th. He had confirmed attendance for June 26th, so that's my fault. So he will be coming in on June 26th.
Okay. Thanks, Drew.
Sure.
Okay, and then under updates, anything, updates, guys?
I can go over a few of these. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. So Brent Brook Road Culvert, you're going to be seeing a notice of intent for that pretty soon, probably within the next month or so. They just got the water quality certification done, which is something that needs to happen before a notice of intent is submitted and reviewed by Concom. Upper Quadrant, Horsley Wooden Group, working on building on the 25% plans, and there will be a presentation to the commission coming up on that at some point, probably before the end of summer. John's Pond is being treated for spot treatment for milfoil. As the commission recalled, there was a larger treatment of milfoil in John's Pond that you all approved in order conditions for about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe. So these are follow-up spot treatments based on surveying to make sure that it's fully eradicated. So I believe that's taking place next week. I think it's the second or last week of this month. And I sent out notification to all the local pond front homeowner associations, and we'll post on the town landings. So there's only one town landing, and also at the public beach at John's Pond. But these are just small areas right outside the boat launch, the state ramp at John's Pond. So it's a very, very small area compared to the original scope of treatments when milfoil was first discovered. Chopchick bog restoration, the bog cells are still flooded with water because we just had non-stop rain. But hopefully by, as the summer progresses, you'll start to see the wetland conditions take hold. Herring migration is pretty much finishing up at all three runs. There really isn't any incoming migration anymore. And we're starting to see herring turn around and come do out migration, so going back down the rivers and back out to sea. Pretty soon we'll be seeing juveniles coming out down the fish runs as well. And continued conceptual discussion and data collection for Mashpee River restoration. And I don't know if Dan has any updates on tribal club management focus group, but that's all the details I have for now.
I do not.
That is 6 months.
Yeah.
Do we need to formally close this and then potentially
That is
extend to the
something
tribe that if and when they're ready, that they should come back and?
I think that's something we're definitely going to do. I'm going to reach out to them and just kind of say, hey, let's hold off on this. I'm going to take it off the agenda
Yeah,
until we have more definitive answer and scheduled date. So,
we started this, okay.
yeah. So absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Anything else from commissioners? Any questions, anything else to discuss?
Negative.
Nothing? Okay. Great. Nothing else from you guys, so ask for a motion to
I
adjourn.
want to thank our acting chair for having such a well-run
Short
and
meeting.
brief meeting.
Paul's gonna be jealous.
But tell Paul, right, say, Paul, why can't you do that when you're here?
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:39?
Okay.
Second.
Second, okay. Do roll call vote. Rich?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Amen, yes.